In this video, I'm going to show you step by step how to book your first government contract load in less than 30 minutes. I'm being dead serious. I'm going to show you how much money you can make, where and how I find these contracts, and most importantly, how you can win these government contracts even if you only have one truck. So, with that being said, let's just jump right in and start off by covering the basics. What are government contract loads and why do you need them? Government contract loads are exactly what they sound like, okay? They're loads that the government pays you to haul. So this could be hauling anything from military supplies to delivering emergency relief to places that have been hit by natural disasters. So think of all the damage that hurricanes are doing in the South right now. The federal and the state governments are going to be spending a lot of money to get things back to normal. And a lot of that money is going to go to truckers like you who are ready for that opportunity. Speaking of which, how much money can you actually make with government contract loads? Let me break it down for you. In trucking, there's really only two types of loads that you can run. So there's spot loads and contract loads. Right now, most of you watching this video are probably using the first method, which is spot loads. You're scrolling through load boards every single day, you're spending hours arguing with brokers and negotiating rates just to end up making $2 to $3 per mile. Now, obviously this depends on what lanes you run, what type of equipment you have, and a million other things. I'm just saying, on average, you're going to make somewhere around $2 to $3 per mile from load boards. Now, that's not horrible, okay? But there's an obvious problem with this method, which is you have no control over your trucking business. If you piss a big broker off, they could just leave a negative review on Carrier 411 and basically blacklist you from the industry. And if you don't have another way of finding loads, you're basically screwed. Now, there is an easy way to avoid this, and that's by using the second method, which is running contract loads. This is where you cut out the broker and talk directly with the manufacturer or the shipper that wants their product moved. Now, I've already made a whole step-by-step training on how you can find these contracts. You can go watch it after this video. But anyways, not only do these contract loads pay $3 to $4 per mile, but you can also run the same load over and over again for months and maybe even years, depending on how long your contract is. So basically, you do all the hard work up front and make money from it every single month thereafter. But here's where things get really crazy. When you start running government contract loads, you can end up making $4 to $6 per mile on average. And this is not just for a couple of months, okay? Some of these contracts that the government is handing out, they will last you a lifetime. I know this sounds too good to be true, but I promise you, it's not. All you need to do to book your first government contract load is use a 5-step system called GRASP. Each step in this system is going to get you closer to winning your first contract, but it all starts with the step that most truckers struggle with. Now, before I show you what this is, I just need to share a quick word from the sponsor of today's video, my own business, Dispatcher University. After years of you guys asking me, I have finally launched one of the cheapest truck dispatching courses on the market right now. For just $97 per month, you can get access to the full 5-week training program where I'll show you step by step how to start a successful dispatching business from scratch. And guess what? If you don't make at least $5,000 per month after 6 months in the course, I will refund your entire tuition. I'm being dead serious. To learn more, just go to school.com/dispatcheruniversity or just click the link in the description. Now, let's get back to the video. Anyways, as I was saying, the first step you need to take in order to start running government contract loads is get registered. You need to register your trucking company with the government in order to bid on these contracts. It's as simple as that. Now, in order to do this, you just need to get two things: a unique entity ID and a cage code. The unique entity ID, or UEI it's called, it's like a social security number for your trucking business, okay? It's what the government is going to use to identify your trucking company from all the other ones. The cage code, on the other hand, it's like your security clearance to the government. Once you have it, you can work with any federal agency and start bidding on their contracts. Now, all you need to do to get both of these numbers is to just apply for it online. Okay, it's very, very simple. So just go to sam.gov, I'll leave a link to this in the description, and just create an account. It's just like setting up an account on any other website. You'll give your email, create a password, and get your profile started. Once your account is set up, you'll automatically get taken to something called a workspace, okay? And this is where you can apply for the UEI. Now, all you need to do is just click on the Get Started button. After that, click on Create New Entity. And then for the first question, click on the option that says, I want to work directly with the federal government. And for the second question, click on the option that says, you will bid on contracts as the prime contractor. After this, you can follow all the step-by-step instructions that they provide and just fill out all your business details here. Things like your company name, legal structure, and business address. The government is basically just trying to verify that all this information is accurate, so it's only going to take you 3 to 5 minutes to fill all this stuff out. And when you do, you will get your UEI number. Now, the second thing you need to get before you start running government contract loads is your CAGE code. Again, this process is super simple. So when you get your UEI number, just scroll down on that same page and click on Continue Registration. Again, you'll have to provide some more information about your business, who's the owner, what's your banking information, what's your EIN number, all that good stuff. But when you finish this process, you'll just have to wait 1 to 3 business days to get this CAGE code approved and issued to you. I know I'm going through this kind of quickly, but if all this is confusing to you, I'll leave a link to this video right here by Kizzy Parks, who goes through this entire application process step by step and shows you how to get your UEI and your CAGE code in detail. So make sure you check our video out, but before you do, I need to show you the next and possibly the most important step when it comes to booking these loads, which is research. Just because you can apply for every government contract load now, it doesn't mean you should, okay? Some of these contracts on these websites are only meant for mega carriers, while others pay less than what you find on load boards. If you don't know what you're looking for, you're going to waste weeks applying for contracts you had no chance of winning in the first place. Now, here's something that most people won't tell you. The US government wants small trucking companies to win these contracts. They know that if you try to compete with these mega carriers, you're not going to win, okay? They've got more experience, they have more equipment, and they're able to charge less money. They're basically better in every single way. That's why, to help small trucking companies win, the government created something called set-aside contracts. With these contracts, the government has made it mandatory for all federal, state, and local agencies to set aside a portion of their contracts for small businesses only. In 2023, the government spent about $800 billion on contractors, and roughly 27% of it went to small businesses through these set-aside contracts. And not only that, but if you've got certifications like HubZone or veteran-owned small business, woman-owned small business, minority-owned small business, you have an even better chance at securing these contracts. So yeah, all I'm trying to say is you can make a lot of money through the government if you know where to look. And trust me, it's a lot easier than you think. The first step to finding these contracts is to get familiar with SAM.gov, okay? This is the main platform you'll use to find federal contracts. Once you're logged into SAM.gov, the key to finding these set-aside contracts is by using the right keywords, okay? So you don't want to waste time scrolling through thousands of irrelevant listings, so you'll need to use terms that match your trucking business. Terms like trucking or freight or logistics or even transportation services. Just use those keywords and a few contracts should come up. But here's where it gets even better. You can use filters to only look for contracts that you can win. Now, not a lot of people will show you this, but here's the exact settings you need to find these contracts for your trucking company. So on the left-hand side, you can see all the things that you can filter by. And for select domain, you want to make sure you pick contract opportunities. For the response date, pick next month. For notice type, and this is really important, you'll need sources sought, pre-solicitation, solicitation, and combined synopsis. For the NAICS code, just use 484 or pick one that works best for your trucking company. And then finally, under set aside, pick all the set aside options and any other certifications that you have. Now, once you put all these filters in, you'll see all the federal contracts that you actually have a chance at winning. But there's a big problem with this. Since we've narrowed down our search so much, there's not going to be a lot of options for you to pick from. So if you run across this issue and you can't find any federal contracts, don't panic, okay? Just search for state and local government contracts instead. Some states in the USA are richer than some countries in the world, okay? And each state in the United States will have its own procurement website where they'll list out these contracts that are easier to win and they still pay really well compared to the federal contracts that we just looked at. Also, with these state and local level contracts, there's not nearly the same amount of competition that you have to go up against, so much easier chance for you to win. Most of the time, you're really only going up against a handful of other small trucking companies, so it's not a big deal. Anyways, you'll have to do some Google research to find these procurement websites for your state or for your county, but once you've found a few of these contracts, whether they're federal, state, or local, you're ready for the hardest step in this entire process, which is submitting proposals. A proposal is basically your pitch to the government on why they should hire you for the job, okay? It needs to show that you understand what they want and that you can deliver on what they're asking for. You can do this by highlighting 3 things in your proposal: your experience, your capabilities, and your pricing. That's it. This is not the time to get fancy with it. Just be clear and show the government that you understand their requirements and that your trucking company is the best option for them. So how do you actually do this? Well, let's just walk through it step by step. The first thing you need to do is carefully read the contract solicitation, okay? And this is where the government will explain exactly what they need from you. If you miss even a small detail, you'll waste hours putting this proposal together just to end up getting disqualified. For example, if the contract says they need daily delivery updates, mention that your company provides real-time tracking and daily reports to meet that need. If they emphasize on-time delivery, you want to make sure you highlight your track record of meeting tight deadlines. Again, the goal here is to show that you've read this contract thoroughly and that your company is the perfect fit for what they're asking for. Now, once you've actually addressed the contract requirements, this is when we can start writing out our proposal, okay? And a lot of truckers stress out about this part, but it's actually super simple. All you need to do is just start with a cover letter or an introduction that quickly explains who you are, what your trucking company does, and why you're submitting this proposal. You want to take this chance to make a positive first impression. So just keep it simple, keep it straight to the point, but be professional. You want the government agency to know upfront that you understand their needs and have the experience to deliver on this contract. Anyways, after the introduction, move on to the experience and the qualifications section. So this is where you'll highlight any past contracts or similar jobs you've done. So if you've hauled freight for other companies, which I'm assuming you have, if you've handled complex loads or you completed other government work, you want to make sure that you include that in here. Basically, if you've delivered similar types of loads before in the past, you want to make sure that you mention that. Make sure that you're very specific in this section. So mention details like the size of the loads that you moved in the past, the timelines you met, any positive outcomes like cost savings or on-time delivery that you were able to accomplish. Anyways, after you mention all your past success, you can move on to the capabilities. So in this section, you'll want to lay out your capabilities. So this is where you'll want to show that your trucking company has the resources to get this job done. So this is where you can talk about how many trucks you have, what type of equipments do you run, what type of routes do you run, and what type of product you have experience moving. The whole point of this section is to prove to the government that you can take on this contract and you can fulfill on your duties. So you don't want to make them feel like they're taking a risk working with you. And then finally, the last thing you need to cover in this proposal is the pricing section. And this is where a lot of people get nervous, okay? But it's really about being upfront and transparent. The government just wants to know exactly what they're paying for, so just break the pricing down in detail. Your total rate that you charge the government, you want to make sure that you include your fuel costs, your driver pay, insurance, or any other expenses, okay? You want to make sure you spell this all out for them on a per mile basis. Show the government exactly what it's costing you to fulfill this contract. And if you don't know this information, don't worry, you can use a tool like Trucker Calculator, link will be in the description, to figure out exactly what your CPM is and how much expense contributes to that CPM. So for example, instead of saying fuel will cost you $10,000 per month, you can tell the government that your fuel makes up 50 cents per mile of your total CPM. That looks a lot more professional and it helps the government understand how you came to your final price. Also, this goes without saying, but make sure that your pricing is actually competitive, okay? And if you still don't know what to charge the government for these contracts, just reach out to the point of contact and ask them questions, okay? Ask them if they've set a budget, if there's an incumbent, who they are. Just ask questions about the pricing and they will help you out. Again, if you guys remember, you can make about $4 to $6 per mile from these government contracts, So set your expectations around there. Now, once you're confident everything is in order, just follow the instructions provided in the solicitation to submit this proposal, okay? And this could mean either uploading it through SAM.gov or through the state or local government's website, or just sending it directly to the point of contact. And after you submit this proposal, just be patient. The government review process is going to take some time, but just keep following up with them every 2 to 3 weeks. And remember, even if you don't win this first contract, keep refining your process. You only need to win one government contract to completely change your life. So all this hard work that you're putting in right now, it's going to be worth it. That being said, this brings me to the final step in our GRASP system that will end up making you the most amount of money if you're brave enough to do it. And it's called petitioning. Essentially, you need to reach out and know where to look to find people that can help you win. I know a lot of you watching this video are probably thinking to yourself, well, maybe this just isn't for me, or this is way too complicated. If you're one of those people, you're not wrong. Even though I've shown you step by step what to do, it's still going to be confusing if it's your first time working with the government. But the good news is there's a lot of free resources that you can use to find high-paying contracts and write winning proposals. And one of the first places that you should try to get help from is the SBA, or the Small Business Administration. The SBA will offer you step-by-step guides, workshops, and even free counseling through their SBDCs, or Small Business Development Centers. You can find these centers all over the country, and a lot of times they will offer you one-on-one counseling to help you understand the entire contracting process. Basically, everything that we went through in this video, they will help you do that. Also, on top of this, they can also help you get certifications like HubZone or Veteran-Owned Small Business or Minority-Owned Small Business, and so on and so forth. We already talked about how important this is, and again, these SBDCs will help you get that for your trucking company. Anyways, another place you can go to is PTACs, or Procurement Technical Assistance Centers. These centers are just like the ones that we just talked about, okay, like SBDCs. However, PTACs specialize in helping small businesses get government contracts. So they will have experts on their team that will offer you free or low-cost support to basically walk you through the entire government contract process. Whether it's registering on SAM.gov, finding specific contracts, or just getting help writing a winning proposal, these PTAC counselors will do all the hard work for you. And after watching this video, if you still feel like government contracts are not for you and you want an easier way to make more money in trucking, just watch this video right here where I'll show you step by step how I find direct shipper contracts. Over 380,000 people have seen this video and used it to start booking their own direct shipper contracts, so I don't want you to miss out on it. Anyways, with that being said, I'll see you guys in that video.